Hello, hello. Welcome to the CDF TOC meeting. Today is September 13th. So many of TOC members and the CDF TOC contributors at Open Source Summit in Dublin. So we don't have that many people participating today, but still we have a meeting. So we have a few topics on our agenda. So mini summit, which is going right now, then KubeCon North America, PIPSIA, project update, then CDF user stories program, CDF works and governance, ambassador program, and other topics. So if I understand correct, Garima, you want to move it up, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's just do it like that. So, Fatih, would you like to summarize the news?
Yeah, we had a room for 60 people for CD Mini Summit, which happened on Monday morning this week, and 100, but we had like 30, 40 people in general attending. So it was good attendance because the event was organized last minute, which was encouraging. And the other event we will have is the CD Summit co-locate with KubeCon. And I think we have received about 40 proposals, and currently the program committee is reviewing those proposals, and we hope to have the early schedule available next week or week after next. So that is also good, like number of proposals. It is a full day event. And that is all about the events updates.
Yeah. So you got about 40 proposals for KubeCon, right?
Yeah, 40.
Because, for example, we are organizing Captain Community Day, and actually we are quite short on the proposals. So if needed, probably for 25th, we may have some capacity for common sessions like roundtables or workshops. We can see how we could accommodate that.
Yeah, once the CFP is done, I can reach out to you, and we can talk about if some of the waitlisted talks could perhaps fit into Captain Day, if
Yeah. So we are doing some bits of application lifecycle too, because there is a bunch of proposals on that. I just posted into the chat, so it might be one of the options. Okay. Any other news you would like to share? Not from me. So the next topic is Ambassador Program and CDF project collaboration. So, Garima, would you like to summarize it? If you want, I can share.
Yeah, can you please share your screen? So for those who don't know me, I'm the chair for the Ambassador Program. I come primarily from an IT background with a lot of experience in telco. I work for Ericsson full time. And the reason I'm here today is we have a lot of action on the Ambassador Program. A few things which we have done so far is we connected with the outreach committee, and we want to strategize how we engage with the member projects. So we have a working group, which is the member projects working group in the Ambassador Program itself. And we want to initiate more synergies with the member projects, how Ambassador Program can bring value to these member projects. We had asked all the member projects to provide us input where they want us to participate. We got two member projects who have responded to our queries, Jenkins X and Aurelius. You can see on the document itself, I've shared this, Oleg, with you and a number of other people. But if you go down, so focus on this table, because we focus on the table. So we have got these inputs from these two member projects, how they want us to participate. So they have requirements on documentation, they want contributors, they want some kind of roles like community manager, product or project manager. They also want us to create some blog posts, videos, and marketing material. Some of these projects, especially Australia's, has requirement for experts, specialized skill set. Naming a few are like blockchain experts, and then from Jenkins' perspective, they're also looking for us to participate in, documenting use cases and promoting their use cases in the outside community. So what we have done is I created this map, the table, because we wanted to see where are the synergies. Yes, we are a small group of people. Not everybody is expert in member projects, but we can do something which relates to the competence of these ambassadors. Ambassadors are generally mid-senior to senior people. So I would say, and this is something which I wanted to have your feedback on, is our recommendation from the ambassador program, that ambassadors should be engaged in promotional activities like adding blog post or marketing material or doing talks or something like that. We can contribute to that, and we would like to put this in the roadmap. Obviously we will have to engage with all the member projects to kind of see who are the reviewers of our blog post. If we are doing a talk, if they need to do a sanity check on that, we can collaborate with these projects. As far as the documentation goes, I would suggest, and this is only from ambassador perspective, and this is for feedback. We believe that this is something which should be taken by TOC, because if we have documentation guidelines, obviously ambassadors can support it, but the ambassadors cannot build those guidelines or build those kind of artifacts without TOC support. So this is something which I believe that is subject to discussion. Uh, the third point which we have mentioned is the ambassadors can be a product or a project or a community manager. We pretty much can do that because a lot of people in the ambassador program are coming from that background. When it comes to exports or specialities, the recommendation here is that we will collate this information for the next cohort, which will start in somewhere around January. So we will take these inputs from the member projects. If you have specific requirements or specific experts, when we are selecting these people as ambassadors, we will take into consideration these requirements. And last but not the least, contributors like coders or testers or people like that. I believe that this is more from a community perspective, community builders, which can help. Ambassadors can also support, but this is not something which specifically ambassadors will have a OKR on. So basically, this is something which is very general, and I would say that everybody should reach out to the general Slack channel if they need contributors. But we cannot just commit to have contributors for the member projects. So this is our recommendations. Again, this the purpose of this presenting here is to get feedback, and also once we have finalized this, we will have to put the Google form in place to make it more specific and present it to the ambassadors. Yeah. So any input, any feedback on this? Obviously, we have this document, Oleg.
Yeah. So I got distracted for a second. Yeah, so for me, yeah, it would be nice to get perspective from other projects. Well, generally the points are all correct for me. Well, I'm not a big fan of blockchain, to be honest, but all the rest, why not?
Yeah, when it comes to like how this could map into outreach discussions or like marketing aspects of CDF, because we have been having some conversations with Roxanne, Kara, and few others from different projects to get some kind of continuous how to say publications for different projects. But it is difficult to do this with few people, and if ambassadors could help bridge the gap between like Roxanne, us, and the projects to get that type of blog posts available, then we can help get them marketed and shared on social as well. So that's why when I met with Karima, I think that part, like increasing the visibility of the projects we have within CDF, would be very helpful to attract new contributors, for example.
Right, and I think there is a general vested interest in services like how can you use, let's say, AWS managed services for blockchain. If that is helpful for Aurelius, maybe we can keep this in mind and for the next cohort. So this is good input, Oleg. Again, I have a consensus on this that all the member projects should give their requirements. Unfortunately, we are not able to get the requirements, and if TOC can help us with that, that would be great. We have started to kind of engage the outreach committee. We only have requirements from 2 member projects.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
just question,
if you have,
did you have a sync up with Lore? Because just 1 or 2 months ago, we had a meeting with participants, for example, from Jenkins and Tecton, discussing how we could improve ambassador program. And I'm pretty sure that this is one of the topics we discussed. So for me, the question is whether you're in sync with Lore on this matter.
where is, sorry, I have a hard time to hear.
So Lore Larussa, the new chair of outreach committee in the CDF, she was also reaching out to projects to get feedback. And for example, from Jenkins, we had 4 people participating, providing feedback, especially about the ambassador program. We also had Captain represented as one friendly project with me. We had the Tecton project represented, if I recall correctly. So I wonder whether some information got lost in communication. Because at that meeting, we were also talking
Check
about
with
how
Laurie.
Sorry?
Yeah. I can check with Laurie. This is good input because this information is through Laurie. So if let's say there is some other information and some other projects who have reported their requirements, I can again check with her. But I have not received any other requirements
Well,
as
and for
such.
example, I'm a member of Jenkins. I have never seen a request to Jenkins project to provide feedback. So I wonder how you reached out, because definitely we have some issues with communication, and we can close them through the TOC. But yeah, so the question how we communicate with projects is
So
quite open at the moment.
yeah, so how we reached out, I can answer that question. So we had a meeting with the outreach committee. We had put that requirement on outreach committee to reach out to the member projects and let us know what their requirements are. So these are the 2 projects where I got the requirements from. Obviously, I can check with Laurie. I know that she was busy with some other engagements. So maybe there are other projects who have reported some other requirements, but I'm not aware of it. So I believe that this is the proper channel. The outreach committee, the role of outreach committee is to kind of engage with the member projects. And yeah,
Yeah,
if
so
you
I'm
were,
just looking for Google Doc at the moment, so I cannot find the meeting notes. But yeah, we had a meeting just a few weeks after Lori stepped up with the new role. And yeah, most of the discussion was about ambassador program and how we actually could help ambassadors to be efficient. Because one of our problems right now is that we have a bunch of ambassadors, but basically we don't provide them with information, with resources as a foundation. And at the same time, the level of engagement right now doesn't feel to be that big. So if we could fix that, yeah, it was one of my points. It could be made much more efficient.
right. So I have acted upon the information I have received from through Fatih and outreach chair. We started with documenting what is the role of the ambassador chair, the ambassador program, what are the working groups we have, what is community builder group, how do we recruit ambassadors, what is the process of enrolling into ambassador program. All that information we have documented so that people should not lack that communication. So that's the first step. The second step was to actually there are 4 groups, 4 working groups. So one of the working group was the member project, and I hear some concerns from the outreach committee through Laurie that we need to do more. So that's the reason why we reached out to the member projects. We have created this document. Obviously, it's not enough. It needs improvement. So if, let's say, Oleg, you have some inputs or you can help us build this perspective for other projects, please include those requirements in the document. I will continue to, improve this for the member projects.
Yeah,
So
so for me,
that's
the
something
biggest
which we
question is how we ensure communication, because we had the same open questions basically multiple times this year, including the discussions with Michelle, with Roxanne. When someone tries to reach out to the projects, literally they cannot find how to do that for many projects. We have various ideas about project leads, but I'm not aware about any project who would have a kind of project lead, even though the CDF still are.
Yeah, I might have contributed to that, because like when Lori joined CDF as outreach committee chair, she reached out asking like who she should be reaching out from projects. And since all the projects use different communication channels, like if you look at Shipwright, Jenkins, CD events, or like Tecton, they're all different mediums. And I think I passed Lori a list of maintainers. It's not project list, but maintainers, core maintainers from these different projects. And that may be the way how the communication happened towards the projects, because as I know, like the communication mediums are different. So we needed some guidance from projects. So that is part of the issue. And the other, for long term, and as you highlighted, Oleg, the outreach committee or outreach strategy is the topic for September's or next week's governing board strategy session. And Lori and Michelle and Garima working on like how this could be more, transparent, and everyone knows how we are working with outreach and ambassador stuff. That will be discussed during next week's governing board meeting or strategy session.
Yeah, it would be great to have all these entities. Yeah, I'm totally in favor of community builders of working group. But yeah, we just need to make things public and available to everyone.
Yeah.
That's great. So I think this is a good starting point. We have started to identify the strategic gaps, and we'll continue to improve it. But I would see that outreach committee has the prime ownership of connecting and communicating the needs of the member projects towards the ambassador program. And from ambassador chair perspective, I have invited Laurie and Fatih both to our ambassador meetings, monthly meetings, as a standing agenda, so they can also communicate directly to the ambassador group, which was not happening earlier. So I think that is one thing which we have also improved. If, let's say, TOC wants to be represented there, I can invite one of the TOC members as well on the standing agenda. Okay, I don't hear anything, so I think we continue without TOC. We have Fatih, who is also representing TOC in that. So yeah,
no,
that's
I'm
good.
not representing. I'm not representing TOC there. Sorry, just I'm representing like CDF side of things. I'm not member of TOC.
So then we don't have TOC representation there. So, Oleg, do you want to have a representation in the monthly meeting, ambassador meeting,
well,
where you can
happen at the time, which is not very possible for me because I'm based in Europe. So yeah, if the time is suitable, I would join. But yeah, it would be better to have someone from the US participating.
Right. So you can nominate someone for the ambassador group, and then we can take it forward from there. The meeting is at 11 o'clock EST, so it should be okay with you. Okay. So I have another item on the agenda.
I had one question. So I tried to access the Google Docs, but I don't have access to it. Can you grant me access?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
You have requested access, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I saw that Jenkins X was in the list. So who was the person from Jenkins X who requested the thing?
He must be one of the maintainers, I guess. I don't
Okay.
have the name on top of the mind, but I can
Roger.
actually add
Okay.
it on the Google Doc.
Okay. Okay. Yes. If you can put like the person who like contacted also next to the project, might
Right.
help because
Yeah, that's
thank you.
good input. Yeah. Okay, so I have another item on the list. Oleg, can you share your screen?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so and the next one is about CDF and the user stories, right? Or which one?
No, okay. We didn't put the other one, Fatih. We wanted to discuss about the security,
Oh, yeah.
how we can engage in the security part of the CDF engagements. So the idea was that we have a few ambassadors who are security specialists in their own domains. Obviously, they don't work as such for a member projects. But if, let's say, we do audits on need basis or in certain regular time frame for the CDF projects, they can be, you know, they can participate first of all, and if, let's say, we think that they can create value, we can also have some people, just constantly supporting these member projects with some security initiatives. I mean, the idea was to see if in the longer run, uh, CDF can create some kind of a security service for these member projects, just to kind of have a overall view on uh, how this security aspect is integrated into these open source projects.
Yeah. So I wonder what kind of services you keep in mind. So announcements, press releases, maybe. Is it what you mean, or any other kind of service?
So what initially I would suggest is just not jumping on the solution part,
Okay.
thinking about how we can participate in these security audits, which is happening from a third party perspective. Fatih, you showed me that there was a
Yeah.
third party which was engaged in security auditing these
Yeah.
CDF
I think one of the things
projects.
Oleg and others, in TOC project onboarding and graduation process, the security is one of the things, when a project wants to graduate, it is asked like, oh, do you have like security audit done for the project, or are you, do you have like OpenSF badge and so on. So ambassadors could, the interested people or like the people experienced in security could perhaps have TOC and project, help with the checklist, for example, and take part in those audits, like as a third party, like neutral party, like not from third party company running the audit, or not from the project bus, but some kind of neutral observer or whatever.
That makes total sense. So the security process and the security review process is public. Some bits like OpenSSF badge is also public. It's reviewable by anyone. So of course, outreach committee, as any other entity, could be involved. Yeah, I was rather thinking what is the specific value the projects could get into that. So I mostly thought actually about announcements and propagation of this information to end users, because it's one of the common issues that even if you have a security release, you need to communicate it properly, which is always complicated. But if you talk about audit, it's completely different thing for me.
Right. I was thinking about these two things. When we talk about ambassador program, there are two sides of the coin. Ambassadors themselves. So ambassadors will start to question, what are we getting out of it? Because they contribute through their valuable time. So if, let's say, we give them the opportunity to participate in these kind of security audits and security initiatives which we have within CDF, obviously we broaden the perspective around security, as well as if, let's say, these contributors or ambassadors can be, okay, I am a security specialist as CDF, like as an ambassador, it will give them some kind of fulfillment and also some learning around how they can take their career into a different kind of a dimension. So I always think about the people, because I am the chair for the ambassador group. Also, from a member project perspective, there can be a lot of services which can be created around it. Obviously, we need to brainstorm a little bit more on it, like how we can create that kind of a security officer role, which can be taken forward by ambassadors. And if it's a third party kind of a observer, or to start with, that can be one of the services or initiatives which we can see. If it creates value to the projects, then we can take the next step in the maturity model.
Yeah. So yeah, that's for sure. One question about people: do we have ambassadors at the moment who are looking for such kind of opportunities? Because if we are, I think we can reach out to projects and ask what they're looking for. Because so far we have only one project that had external security audit, Technon. None of other projects had it, to the best of my knowledge. Some projects, well, for example, Jenkins has a quite established security process, their own security team, a security officer. But for other projects that are just starting, that are preparing to go through the certification, even open SSF badge, if somebody is interested to contribute, it could be a valuable help. So if there is somebody interested right now, then we can connect them, because I'm pretty sure that would be interested projects and maintainers for particular components.
Yeah, so I take that as one of the actions from this meeting. I can ask about specific interest on such kind of initiative. Obviously, initially they will be associated with a member project on the security side of it, and then maybe Fatih, we can discuss more on how we can create this specific kind of a role or engagement for being a third party observer. I think that is a good starting point, or good the first step in this process.
Yeah, we can think like expected, like what are the roles and responsibilities for such things, and then we can ask these to projects, saying that this is the type of contribution ambassadors could make, and then based on that we can bring that topic back to TOC again.
Yeah, sure. So can anyone help me with this? Obviously, I can collect more thoughts on it, but if somebody in this fora can help me with some kind of brainstorming, that would be great.
Or we take the Jenkins document, just put me the link there. Oleg, if you could check the link, if it is the right link. So we can take some input from this document and start simple.
Yeah, that's correct. So I can show how it's organized in Jenkins. Just a second.
Because that is proven to be working. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so basically we have a kind of framework with advisories, with reporting. So all the bits which are common, and all the bits which have common guidelines for example, if you go through OpenSSF certification process, you will have to establish these processes. There are recommendations from OpenSSF, so you don't have to follow how Jenkins implements it. What is specific for Jenkins is the security team. So we have a security officer, which is basically an elected role for a person who leads all the security effort and coordinates that. and a team which consists of multiple individual and company contributors that are interested in Jenkins stability in cases like, for example, in backports of security fixes, etc., etc. And everyone can join this team. So basically, the security team operates as a separate entity in Jenkins. It has been quite efficient. So maximum we had maybe 12 people there participating on a regular basis. And yeah, it was super helpful for coordinating big fixes. For example, we had cases when we had to release something like 50 plugins. Not everything was released with fixes, but quite a lot of them. Also, a lot of stories like technical debt, dependency updates, etc., which are common for security topics, are driven by this team. So if you're interested, we can invite basically people who build this team. For example, Daniel Beck, who has been Jenkins security officer for 5 years, or Wadik Folanier, who's the current security officer, so that they could speak about the project and how they handled it. So if there is a venue, we could easily invite them to talk about the topics.
Yeah, that's great actually. If you can offline send me some names, that would be great. Maybe I'll put it up as an agenda for the ambassador meeting where somebody can talk about how security officer role works in Jenkins, and maybe uh, taking that next step forward, document the security officer role for the ambassadors, which we are asking for, and see if there is any alignment with any of these member projects. I think that would be a good
Yeah,
start.
I put the names to the agenda document, so you can just take them from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. I'll have to leave Ankit access to the document. So you just have to ask access from me and I can share it if you don't have it. Okay?
I have access now. I mean, I can see the docs. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay, thanks to Garima, and let's glance through other topics. So we have a question for PSC and how it's going with onboarding it.
Yeah. So we received information and documentation from the LF Legal, which I put the documents I received on the document as well. A draft technical charter project for project technical governance body to review, project contribution agreement to be reviewed and signed by JFrog in this case, and series agreement for forming the Persia project. And these documents are shared with like Steve Chin, Steve Taylor, Sutindra, and Lori. And currently we are waiting to hear back from them to see if there are any concerns with the documents, because the documents needs to be reviewed by the JFrog legal team as well. So, but it's progressing, and once we get the signed documents back, it should be pretty quick to finalize the legal onboarding as well, and then I suppose we will be pretty closer to announcing this officially during KubeCon. That's all. Persia.
Okay, thank you.
The next topic, should I talk about that as well?
Yeah, if it's just,
okay.
Just go ahead.
So some of you might know we created these guidelines, like 10 of them last couple of months, and one of them was like user stories guidelines, which is like simply case studies. And we have been talking with few of the companies contributing to CDF and users, and we received the first case study contribution draft version yesterday, and that is currently being reviewed by Roxanne for editorial. And once we finalize the reviews and so on, we will send it to LF creative team and get that ready for publishing. And another case study discussions are happening, which we will probably have draft end of September or something like that. And so, yeah, those are the two case studies we are working on. And we have one more case study, which we are waiting an input or update about. So if you know anyone wants to contribute case studies, just tell them to reach out to us using that mail address, and then you can pass the guidelines as well.
Yeah. Is there eligibility requirement or just any end user of CI/CD tools?
We kind of wanted to have this a bit relaxed. Like if you are a vendor, for example, and if you know one of your customers are doing great job with some of the open source CD technologies, you can write the case study together. So as long as it is like neutral, so you like anyone from vendor companies could also take part in contributing case studies.
Okay, that's nice.
Because we don't have any case studies at the moment, and we want to get people talk about the projects, how they are using it, what kind of challenges they have, how they are addressing those challenges.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So one information. So Jenkins is the WAVE program where we collected quite a lot of case studies and short quotes. So maybe if you reach out to Alisa Tonk, she could share some of case studies, etc. Maybe even for republishing, because some content may be worth republishing. Maybe there are some leads that haven't been delivered yet. So for Jenkins, it could be one of opportunities.
Okay, I will. Alisa Tonk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, took my note.
Yeah, so there is Jenkins is the way. Well, actually, it was just moved to Jenkins.io. Before that, it was a separate site. But here you can find quite a lot of big stories and also case studies published.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it and
can be
reach
one
out
of
to
the
Alisa.
processes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else on end user stories?
Well, we hope to
Maybe
announce it during KubeCon, maybe, or depending on how fast we can get the first 2 case studies available.
Yeah, maybe it's something we could ask end user representatives to facilitate at least among the network.
Yeah,
On the
we are
governing
talking.
board,
Justin and Emily.
Yeah, this is something that I've thought about quite often, especially with a lot of the customers that I work with, and how cool it would be to have a way for them to case study or have, examples. I know we try to stay neutral, especially vendor neutral, just to make it more open. But the reality is that we have so much theory and everything out there. We need examples of actual implementations for people. So I love this idea. I've got some ideas for you. We have, people from different projects present all of the time at the interoperability group. I'm certain that there are several of those who would love to put forth case studies.
Yeah.
So once we have CDF reference architecture, when somebody starts implementing it, at least to some extent, it could be one of opportunities to actually be more vendor neutral, because you basically base your case study on CDF reference architecture, not on a particular project. Well, all of us know that there would be still building blocks and some decision points, but still at least it could be mapped to general flow.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So anything else on user stories? And let's move on. So the next topic is SIG workstream governance. Who did propose this topic?
Yeah, I put it there as well. What happened a month ago during Special Interest Group Software Supply Chain meeting was David Bender and a few others came up with an idea to focus on creating a smaller group to work on supply chain security maturity model. And our response to that was like, okay, we had something similar in the past around events in CI/CD, and that worked under the workstream setup, which is kind of independent from the SIG, but hosted within the SIG. And what we did basically, we took that governance from special interest group interoperability and put it to software supply chain SIG, which is like same document as the SIG interoperability. That made me think maybe since this is a well-proven process, SIG events was created based on this process and later on turned to CD events. Maybe we can make this governance model for workstream a common document rather than duplicating it under different SIG repos. We can promote it to TOC.
Yeah, so for me, one question is, so definitely I'm in favor of having some documentation. So for example, in the CNCF, there is a common practice of working groups, which is basically the same as work stream, I guess. What is probably more explicit in the work stream, that a stream is expected to be closed sometimes, well, unless you use C++. And in this case, so working group, basically the same in CNCF, but maybe we could just take a bunch of documentation from there and align with that. Or we have to-do group, we have inner source commons that also try to provide common frameworks for such chapters. So for me, one question is whether we should have our own documentation or should just contribute to existing one to avoid duplication. I don't think there would be much CDF specifics there.
Yeah, it's either way, like, I guess works. This is just to make sure that we have some kind of guideline in place. Like if someone else comes and says, like, we want to have a smaller group focusing on this specific topic, like it doesn't live like 4 years like our 6, but it can be, you know, concept as achieved its targets, goals within 6 months, and it gets archived and turns into a SIG or project or whatever. So like just to have single guideline.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So for putting guideline, yes, for sure, just for a template, because there are some common entities like README, what to mention, how to list interested parties or participating parties, whether you need governing body, if yes, what would be the best practices. So with some basics, if you already have general guidelines, plus 100 for having it documented. Later, it just makes sense to integrate it somewhere to the upstream so that we don't have to maintain our own framework.
Yeah. I can take a look at the CNCF process to see if like they are like light enough, because sometimes, yeah, things may be heavier.
Yeah, I'm
than
familiar with
is
it
needed.
on security and up delivery SIG. It seems to be quite light, but to be honest, I still need to find a kind of official documentation what is working group in the CNCF. Because whether it's just copy paste from one place to another or whether they actually have a fixed guideline.
So my 5 cents there, I guess I was part of this events 3 workstream that was created in the SIG interoperability, and it was very, very lightweight. I mean, we could get started the same week as we decided to have the workstream, and the only thing that we did more or less was to create another Google document. So sorry, another GitHub document and the GitHub represented document, so we can start taking our notes. And we got, I think we used the same YouTube channel as the SIG interoperability for those meetings as well. So I mean, everything was more or less prepared for us. One thing that we could maybe benefit if we would be raised to a CDF well-known concept of work streams is that it could also be announced on the website, I guess, under or next to the SIG somehow, so we can see that these are the current work streams, and if you're interested in this work stream, it belongs to this SIG or whatever, and then you can come there and do your stuff.
Let me take that. Then I took
So,
AP of looking at C and CF documents, and if in worst case I can simply copy the existing workstream README into TOC and put it for review, and if we don't find anything like as lightweight,
I think that that's the first step. You can just copy.
Yeah.
Basically, what Emil said is that having it as lightweight as possible for participants, or putting it on the website, etc. Well, all of us know that it requires some hoops, and sometimes it takes a while even for projects. But yeah, if you could get it fixed, then I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
Also, GitHub repository should be good enough for many types of promotion. For example, social media, etc. We can just put a link.
That's
Okay.
all for this topic. Thanks.
So yeah, I'll try to pick something from to-do group and the inner source commons, if there is some notion of that in the documentation. Okay. So for improving CD events side, so I put this topic based on the conversation with Fatih and Emil. So for CD events, we still have 10K allocated, and we still haven't really started anything with this 10K. And actually, I'm one of the people to blame because I took a few action items like creating LFX mentorship, looking for a documentation contributor, and I dropped the ball on everything, every action. Apologies for that. But yeah, still there is a question of what we could do as a project. And one of the items that was brought up before and brought up today is actually improving the website, including UX, including accessibility of the information. So we have money, we actually need somebody to work on that. Is it correct? And the question is,
Yeah,
how do we
I and
find
Andrea had a chat. Yeah. So I and Andrea had a chat about that yesterday as well. If it's, I mean, what would be a good way to spend that money or to use that money? And I think the best idea that we came up with, which wouldn't require too much mentorship from ourselves, me and Andrea and others in the group, would be to more or less show the website to someone who is well-known, knows lots about how to create attractive websites, and make that more contain a better eye catcher or whatever, so that people get directly the idea of what CD events is, and also something that catches their eyes. We were thinking about some short promo video, but I'm not sure what that would be about really and how it would look, but something very simple that could also be embedded into such a website. But that would probably require some more effort from ourselves as well. But at least I'm not sure if it's I don't think it's a technical writer type of guy. It's rather graphical person that knows how to best structure a website in a good way.
Okay. So what I was thinking about is actually trying to partner with various refugee programs, because currently there is a lot of engineers and developers looking for jobs around Europe, for example. With the current market, it's still a bit difficult to find job, especially for those who are not fluent in local languages. But maybe we could offer it as one of opportunities. So basically just posting programs, doing outreach. For example, I participate in Power Coders in Switzerland. So by saving these opportunities here and there, maybe we could find a contributor. I don't have any name right away.
Just thinking out loud, if I would jump into someone on the Open Source Summit here in Dublin, what could I say that we can offer?
Well, we can offer, let's say, something like 5 to 10K stipend based on the size of the project. We can definitely offer a scope of work, and there's an opportunity to make a difference. So if CD events takes off, it would be quite an important project. So I think that this is what we could offer. So the money are allocated. So once we find a good candidate, we can just kick off. So if you use LFX mentorship as a platform or anything else, basically it's up to projects to define the selection criteria. And it's normal to bring in someone with whom you have a kind of preliminary agreement. So we did it the same for example, for Jenkins when we were doing JCask plugins. So I think that if you find someone who might be interested, yeah, you can offer basically everything we have. Which is not that much, arguably, but still for internship program is quite a good opportunity.
Does the fund come from like CDF, or do the projects get the fund themselves? Because I tried to, Jenkins X actually like floated a project, but it's still like pending. So I don't know about the like I mean like where do we get the funds from? Was the question.
So for the events, it was allocated by the TOC last year.
Okay.
So it's basically CDF funds. We still have 10K to allocate for this year, which we need to think about. But yeah, then for the projects, it's basically either finding on your own or participating in an existing program, or finding end user or any other member company that would be willing to sponsor it.
Okay. So is like 10K allocated to every project like every year, or
No, it's allocated to the TOC.
okay.
But yeah, it's possible to discuss it. So I'm not sure what is budgeting for the next year, but it's possible to discuss some budgets and some opportunities in the foundation.
Okay.
So if you have a proposal, it's definitely a good opportunity to make a suggestion in wider group, because usually it's easier to take money than to find money than to find mentors and people who are interested to drive such projects.
Yeah, I have a proposal, and I am willing to mentor. So I mean, we have been doing it for like GSOC, so it's kind of like after GSOC, so not like during GSOC, because then I don't have any time. So yeah. Okay.
So we can discuss it. And GSOC for a project ends this week, right?
Yes.
Or,
Yes, that's like Google. So two candidates.
mhm. Okay. So I guess what are our action items? Just to brainstorm ideas and to try finding someone. So we have basically OSS Summit or other similar events. If anyone participates, you can talk about opportunities. At least one of Captain mentees is going to the OSS Summit in Dublin, by the way. Well, basically doing some outreach. So this is something we could probably take with Roxanne and yeah, just drive this topic forward. Okay. So any other ideas how we could promote it? No problem. tried to do some bits asynchronously. But yeah, my apologies to Amelia and the team that I actually didn't deliver on my action items I took in the SIG.
We didn't provide any good proposals either, so it's some both of us hates. Yeah.
So for the documentation idea, I communicated the feedback in the direct message. Okay, so I think that's it for today. And yeah, so the next meeting is 27th of September. We don't have any major events there, so I think we can just keep it as is. Yeah, we'll announce the meeting right away, and if you have anything, just put it to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
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 Thanks.